By the time you watch this Parsha preview, I will be in Israel and doing what I used to always do wherever I was, and that's wear my kippah. In Israel, you can do that all the time without giving it a second thought. But in the United States, until recently, wherever I went, I wore my kippah, except for when I took a shower or went to sleep. Otherwise, it was always there. But recently, I went out and took it off. It was last month, and I took my children and grandchildren to a major cultural event taking place in the Capitol Center in Washington, D.C. It was World Wrestling, and there were 15,000 people present. And for some reason, when I saw that crowd, I took off my kippah. I thought about that ever since, because ever since I've decided to keep it on wherever I go, downtown, the harbor, Ashburton, Randallstown, Owings Mills, Pikesville. I keep it on. And you know what I've discovered? From time to time, someone will come over to me and say, I see you're Jewish. I want you to know that my friends and I stand with your people. And you know what? There are a lot of people like that, and we have to keep them in mind. I recently read a blog by a rabbi where he writes, perhaps you've seen it, a Facebook meme that is making an appearance on countless pages. And it says, I don't know a single Jewish person who these days hasn't at one point asked, which one of my friends who aren't Jewish would hide me? Now, believe me, I know the challenges we Jews face today, not just in Israel, but throughout the world, and yes, here in the United States as well. But is the situation so bad that Jews are already planning their hiding places? Is everyone out there planning on killing us? Yes, we have reason to be concerned, but we dare not overdo it, for that's considered a curse in the Jewish tradition. It's right there in this week's Torah portion of Bechukotai. It comes from some of the scariest verses in the Bible, verses referred to as the Tochacha, words so scary that no one even wants to have the Aliyah when they are read. We give it to Rabbi Wecker because God's not going to start up with him. They are words in which God describes the punishments that will come to the Jewish people if we don't follow his commandments. And the punishments threatened include our land being overrun by wild animals who will eat our children, mighty armies will destroy us, plagues in our cities, famine causing loved ones to starve, on and on. It gets worse. And then one thing more, where we are told that things will be so bad that we will reach a stage when kol ula nidaf, the sound of a driven leaf, will cause you to flee. Think of what that means. It's not just our enemies and wild animals and plagues. That's bad enough. What's even worse is that you will feel so low, so beaten down, so at a loss of confidence that even the sound of a leaf driven by the wind will cause you to be terrified. So it's not just your enemies, but even imagined enemies will cause you to flee and feel that all is lost. This is a curse. We must never allow that to happen. Let me give you some current examples to show where we are overdoing it, overly concerned. 2 weeks ago, Jerry Seinfeld delivered the commencement address at Duke University. Here are some newspaper headlines of that day. Commencement speech is latest grad disruption. That's USA Today. Duke students walk out of Jerry Seinfeld's commencement speech amid wave of graduation anti-war protests. NBC News. Jerry Seinfeld's speech at Duke commencement prompts walkout protesting his support for Israel. Reuters. Fox News. Duke University students walk out on Jerry Seinfeld's commencement speech, chant Free Palestine. Breitbart. Watch. Anti-Israel students walk out of Duke University commencement to protest Seinfeld. Sounds bad. Real bad. So how do you explain some small news clip that appeared in a Jewish newspaper, which reads, Jerry Seinfeld's wife applauds Duke crowd who drowned out anti-Israel protesters during commencement speech. The comic, who is Jewish and a co-chair of the university's parents committee, took the stage over the weekend to deliver remarks to a crowd of 7,000 when the small demonstration broke out. A few dozen protesters walked out of their seats chanting, Free Palestine. The Duke audience wouldn't have it, bursting out in chants of Jerry, 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 and cheering for the comedian, the video shows. So what happened that day? 30 walked out in protest. 7,000 stayed and cheered. Example number 2. I'm sure many of you read about the Eurovision contest in May that brought together entertainers from all over the world to Malmo, Sweden. The participation of Eden Golan, representing Israel, brought out massive protests against both her and Israel. It was considered dangerous for her to leave her hotel. She had to be taken by security convoy to the Songfest to guarantee her safety. Bad. Very bad. But in the good, she didn't win the contest. She came in 5th. It's known that some of the judges voted against her because she's an Israeli. But the way the Eurovision is conducted, the points come not from the chosen jurists alone, but from telephone votes from around the world. And in those telephone votes, the popular vote, Eden Golan came in 2nd. Israeli Eden Golan got more votes from around the world than that of Britain and Spain and Germany and France and Finland and Portugal and Sweden and Holland and Belgium and Switzerland and Italy. The jurists were against Israel. The people were with us. One third quick example. You all know what's been going on at Columbia University. But did you know that Columbia University just elected Israeli student Maya Platek as student government president for 2024-25? Platek has been determined to speak up for Jewish students on the campus. Platek introduced herself to the student body in a speech following her election and said, "I am an Israeli rising senior and was recently elected as the student body president at Columbia University. At Columbia hits a peak of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. I am honored to have been chosen as next year's student body president by popular vote. More than ever before, it's critical that our voices are heard and our safety is protected." Now, don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not saying that everything for Jews these days is hunky-dory at Columbia or any place else. We are being challenged, no doubt about it, from the left and from the right. There is a real threat out there, and we must be proactive, vigilant, prepared to stand tall. But we've got to do it and not to be afraid of our shadows. Tiskaber ka'ari, we have to stand like lions and not cower like fraidy cats. We've got our hands full and lots of things to worry about. All I'm saying is let's not add to our worries things we don't have to really worry about. Let's not make things out worse than they are. Yes, there are things to be afraid of, but let's not be afraid of our shadows. They're not all out to get us. Let's remember the words of Reb Nachman of Breslov. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar ma'od v'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. The whole world is a very narrow bridge, but most important is not to be afraid. So, no hats off these days, but I'm keeping my kippah on. Shabbat shalom.